Well, hello, it's John Fetterman again on Tarot for Our Times with me, Sarah, your medium on the go. And he's represented tonight by the Knight of Cups in reverse. Now, the Knight upright is a chivalrous, romantic kind of a guy who he's kind of a messenger or a spreader of love and feelings and all this sort of thing. Quite a difference from his brethren of the Knight of Rods and Swords, who are like really, I mean, he's on a nice steady horse. They're on galloping horses. So when you get him in reverse, though, as you can see on the thumbnail where I have Fetterman as him. He's I have I thought the younger version who kind of dresses like him, with it has the tats and everything. That was a pretty good representation. But it's interesting because the meaning is really the same. So when this fellow is reversed, it's kind of like the disillusionment of the romantic kind of a person, and in a sense he was like he was going to ride in and save the Senate or something like that, and I'm sorry to say I bought into that. So it's kind of the disillusionment of what we think, and he with cups being in reverse, he really is an emotional mess. um, and I really did speak of him before. I did an earlier in the year. It was probably late January or into February. I did a reading about him and Joe Scarborough going down on separate occasions, going down to Mar-a-Lago and making nicey nice with Trump, and about how maybe those of us that are in the more progressive persuasion kind of did what the people on the right did with Trump and make him into something that he actually isn't. But we will get into that, uh, in a moment. And the whole thing is that, I'm sure you've heard about all of his psychological problems and the stroke. And I did have a psychic hit that there may be some more serious disorders other than just the regular, which is bad enough, clinical depression, which is serious in itself. But then when you get the bipolar, where they're up and they're down, that's it, or the possible borderline, all kinds of stuff. And these things do not pop up overnight. This is I from what I've read, this a stroke can exacerbate them and make them more they really bring them out or make them stronger. And I read an article by, and actually the guy is a Facebook friend of mine, a fellow by the name of Tony Buba, wrote an article in the Payday Report that he speaks of the issues that Fetterman had going back to his days of mayor of Braddock, and it seems as though, and I do remember him chasing the black guy with the gun and all that sort of thing. I do remember it, but I chose to ignore it, which I'm kind of not real proud of, thinking, oh, it's just like a momentary thing. But then there are other things. So I'm going to leave a link to the article so I don't spend all my time talking about it. But apparently, he wasn't quite playing with the full one when he was the mayor of Braddock, and that although the town turned around, that perhaps his part in that has been exaggerated, because and the fact that he didn't go to city council meetings, I find that rather bizarre. So yeah, I think that you're all pretty familiar with this. So I want to do a reading on for, and this is a very difficult deck to shuffle, so I did some pre-shuffling. Um, we're going to do a reading on what may be happening. Um, and this could be about him being maybe he is the flip side of a Trump, just kind of like another version, or just has different pathologies or whatever. Then I want to see how this reflects on us, because I know I wasn't the only one that voted for him in the primary of 2.5 years ago. So we're going to look into that too. So I'm going to be using the regular silver-plated rider deck, and then I'm going to do the before and the after. I'm really kind of liking that. I don't know if this will be my permanent style of reading, but I really do like those cards. So we're going to start. Okay, so what's going to happen? Well, first we have to see what is going on now. As I say, I've been shuffling these all up. So in the now, we have one of the various meanings I have of the Five of Wands in reverse is that sometimes it's avoiding a fight, but I've also seen this when we're looking at people's mental health issues and that sort of thing, is the inner conflict. And these are young people, so I think he's that emotionally he might be kind of an adolescent the way he's handling things right now. So this is his inner turmoil, and so the lead up to that in the before tarot is, oh, this is kind of interesting. So we have the Nine of Pentacles in reverse, and she doesn't have doesn't have a grip on that bird yet, but yeah, because in the regular card in this version, she's got the bird on her wrist. So it's hard to see, since it's a before. I think she's looking for that bird, and that actually, it's a falcon, and that was back in the olden days. That was to have a falcon was a sign of prosperity. So this really speaks to she's finally dressed. It's in reverse, so I've noticed that he only dresses in a suit and a tie is when it would be beneficial to him. So I'm going to say, since she's in reverse, she pretty much wants those riches and the privileges, but she's really not comfortable in these clothes, and maybe not comfortable in the garden. So this will be interesting to see. So a little bit of the aftermath of the Five of Wands here is the here we go, the Five of Pentacles, and this is the this is the mother deserting the children right here, because in the before, if I remember, the dog, it's just the dog standing outside, and I think she's saying, I'm pretty much out for myself. I've got my own problems. You guys have got to fend for yourself, which is what I'm getting, which I feel as though he may be doing with his constituents. Now, I do agree with the people on Facebook who have said, the guy is sick, mentally and physically. Have some compassion. And I do have compassion, but it also comes down to, if he's not able to do his job, it will affect us, especially when there's mental illness. And what this is saying, he may just need to go and step down from his job, and because he's not doing anybody any good. Okay, so the energy of all of this is, it's the Hermit. He's pretty much isolated. I understand his wife isn't talking to him. I'm sure the children is. And I will say something. I did meet him once at a Democratic function a few years ago. I think it was in his lieutenant. It was in his lieutenant governor. It might have been when he was running for lieutenant governor, but I think it was at least 7 or 8 years ago. This guy, I felt like a peanut next to him, and I'm 5'10", and I felt like I was 4'6". The guy is big, and he does have this very, very intimidating energy about him, just his physical presence. And I can understand living with somebody like that, and people are afraid to drive with him. Is it people are they're afraid that they're just he's just that kind of person, so he is pretty much alone. I think most of the people have the ones that voted for him in the primary. I mean, had it come to, of course, with him and Dr. Oz, I mean, sorry, but still that my vote would go, but we had a chance in the primary. But okay, so the underlying stuff with all of this is he just the fight's out of him. He just cannot be holding his own, and and this has been happening for a while. So then we have that, the son not being able to be. He's given the appearance of being open about whatever is going on with him, but not really. We don't know everything. And then we have it's his, if this goes on, this is his disconnect. I would also say that this looks like his marriage. There could be some problems with the marriage. I'm sure his wife loves him and wants to stick by him, but that and living together, that's a whole different story. So let's see. In opposition of this, we have the King of Wands. This, whatever has been going on with him, it's really taken the fire out of him. And that I understand I think he was with some labor people and got nasty with them. So this is ill-tempered, a kind of tyrannical person, which is it really is scary. It is scary. So this is not, he's not in a good place with this. So on the, let's see. On the conscious level, we have I guess with him on the conscious level is I think he probably feels as though he's losing it. He's not quite in control of everything, but I think with his mind, he thinks, oh, well, this is a whole new thing. Okay, so we have that. And then the subconscious. He's had heavy burdens to carry with his physical and his mental health. He's in a lot of denial about it, but this is very, very underlying. But the impression I'm getting is that, well, he appeared to be very honest with his, when he had the stroke and then he had the depression. It was like, oh, he's being so open. But that's a ruse with people that are ill like that. It's a ruse to give the appearance of being open, but actually what it is like not telling the whole story. So let's see, in the past, and we will use the before tarot. In the past, we have the Three of Wands, and this is very interesting. This Three of Wands is that he's really not, he was looking for the future. He's not looking at the future. He just, nope, he's not looking at the future at all. And in a way with being focused. And that's funny because here we have the bird of the Nine of Pentacles. We just can't seem to get a hold of that. And this would say that he's turning away from the boats in the harbor. So this has been going on for a while now. So this is in the past. But I would say he's probably been doing a pretty good job in covering it up. So, in the present, we have he sees himself running out of options, and he refuses to see the obvious, like physical and mental health. He looks, I've been seeing recent photos of him, and he looks very bloated. It looks like he's retaining, um, he's retaining water in his body. And of course, the speculation is for entertainment purposes only. So he isn't seeing the obvious, which really means that um, I wonder if it makes me feel as though people have been telling him he needs to step down, but he's not there yet. Now, whether he will be, well, let's see. In the immediate future, we have the Wheel of Fortune. So from his standpoint, that he's delusional, thinking he's going to be doing some great things, and it's all turning in his favor. I would say right now it looks like he is in such an enormous amount of denial that he's just can't see the obvious. As someone had said, I just read a few minutes ago before I started the reading, that there's some kind of an afterstroke which can bring out kind of like a form of schizophrenia. There's something that looks like it, or so that he may have that going. I don't know. So in the more distant future, which we're going to do the after tarot, we have, oh boy, it's not going to get any better. I mean, the swords may be out, and he may not be in Walter Reed, but it's not getting better. Because see, this is kind of gross, but it's bleeding through the bandages. The bandages just the kind of was a stopgap, but that looks like the wound is on. Even though the swords are out, the wounds are bad. They're not healing. They're just not healing. So we got this happening right here. So in the hopes and the fears, for some reason I feel like I need to pull the before. Hopes and fears. Okay. Alrighty, he's the hope is that he wants to get back to the great. He feels like he was a really great communicator and had all of these people, but the fear is that he feels that he won't get back to it. So there may be a little bit of a crack in the denial. And I want to do an outcome card here. Okay, the outcome is the after tarot. Oh, this may be the fantasy, but this is the reality. I mean, even though those elements are in place, but the reality is that no, it's going to get worse, and that, like the demons, it's kind of like he's in the devil made me do it kind of a thing, which is part of the illness. So it's only going to get worse. I would suspect that his wife is probably trying to, when she's speaking to him, has been probably trying to tell him, you can't go on this way. So also, I really get a sense what these cards are also saying is that he's presented an image of himself that doesn't exist. You know, that whole thing with Braddock, and I went to high school in the town next to Braddock because my district didn't have a high school yet, so we chose them in the area. So I went to Edgewood High School, and it's a really Episcopalian, mostly Episcopalian, country clubby, old time Republican, like Eisenhower and all that. You know, they love John McCain. that sort of thing. Just very, very kind of, and then Braddock is kind of like working class, but on steroid and a poor community. But I remember the guys in my high school class used to go to Braddock because they could hang out in the pool halls and they could go to the bars and get served at 16 years old. Go figure. So that was kind of like the walk on the wild side sort of a town where the guys could just go see what life was really all about, that kind of thing. Then it got really, really bad. I think when the mills started to close, it just became a very depressed town. So when he came along, then they say he brought it back when in fact I think he had some help, and apparently whoever was mayor after, and I can't remember, was the one that really, he kind of got the ball rolling, but his successor was the one that really transformed the town. I think he deserves some of the credit, but at any rate, so he has this identity of being, like the whole Braddock steel worker, working man, yada yada yada, when in fact he was a wealthy person from another part of the state, um, and he went to Harvard, which I have to confess I really didn't know that until not long ago. Which, is a good lesson in. Boy, I really need to vet these people. I really went on a lot of superficial stuff, and here I was talking about the people, the MAGA people doing that, and he's an example that's a trap that any of us can fall into. It was like the hoodie and the tats and the this and the that. I didn't think I was that superficial, and it's not as simple as that. It's just that he had this persona that's that you could believe, oh yeah, his father worked in the mills and his mother was, maybe a sales clerk or something like that, that kind of, because he has that appearance. But see, that's the whole thing, is that it was an illusion. But so he was sort of like the working man, so the working man that went to Harvard, and he got away with that. He could pull that off. So I really want to see how this reflect. This is leading me into the next part of the reading, is how does this reflect on us? I mean, and I am far from being alone. A lot of us were pretty much taken in, and it was, you realize that you're really voting for what you saw on TV and not looking into this. But I think the difference between people like me, and there are a lot of us, and MAG is saying, wow, I did it too. I'm really going to check these people out before I vote for them. And, the thing is that the difference is that now we're seeing this. It's like, oh my God, without beating ourselves up too much, the MAGA people won't see it. That's where the difference lies. Well, let me see. Okay, so let's see how this, I've been talking and shuffling. So let's see how this reflects on us in a kind of a shorter sort of a reading. So I'm going to do this in a little bit of a different way. Okay. So how does this reflect on us in the here and now? It's kind of getting the divorce, and I would say getting a divorce not only from him, but maybe from a lot of things that we thought we believed. So I'm going to do this over here. So in the leading up to, in the before, we have the Seven of Swords, where he's gathering up to do them. So I would say where he's getting ready to steal them, to take off with them. So I'm going to say, and he planned it well. It's kind of like we didn't really plan very well, or do a lot of thinking, like the swords are supposed to tell us what to do. So that's kind of what led us to that. And then, so concluding with that, then we have, then we have the three of Swords in reverse, and he's kind of waving goodbye to the bird. So it's seeing that are there other birds? Oh no, those are the leaves on the tree. So it's having to let the bird go, but not being real happy about it, like it would be upright. But it's something we need to do because we have to see what's now in the future. So it's kind of like bye-bye. All these reversals. So I'm going to say that was kind of in the past. We're going to sort of move it along here. Then we have here is our, realizing that we're kind of like, this was kind of like something that wasn't going there. I will have to say that I know that he got a lot of pot smokers out of prison, which is good. See, he didn't do everything badly. I mean, but we only that's all. If I remember from the lieutenant governor, two things: he didn't live in the mansion, and he let the pot smokers out of jail and did a lot of work for the legalization and that sort of thing. But other than that, we didn't know much. We really didn't know much. So then there we have, now we're wondering why he's kind of like not going anywhere. So leading up to, in the before, we have here we have the Knight of Swords again. Yeah, he's going for this is, because I see in this one, this is upright instead of the last time I think it was reversed. I think it was. But at any rate, yeah, and this upright, he's looking at the crowd. He's doing it sort of for the crowds to get the adulation, but not, not real focused on the good that it can do. So we got that, and then the aftermath of this is the Queen of Swords, she's finally got a hold on the sword, but she's, in the regular card, she's looking right ahead. She's looking up and saying, does she have a real grip on that? Oh, yeah, she finally does. And she's, where's the truth? Where's the truth? Really need to look for the truth. What is that on the edge of her sword? It's like a bird. It's almost like she's telling the bird to get off of there because you're clouding up the truth. So it's like, we just like, wanting to see a different truth. I think that's what this card is saying. So we're kind of more in the now. This is kind of where we're at now. Let's see. Moving right along. Oh, here we go. Making the big mistake of, I'm going to push these over a little bit. Making the big mistake of in idealizing him, that everything is just going to be so wonderful all the time. It's the over idealization, and we're going to be one big happy family. Especially, you can see that when he's running against Dr. Oz. But okay, so that was unrealistic. This is, to me, the card of unrealistic expectations. So, which we may be seeing now. But let's see what comes as a lead into that. Okay. Okay, in the before, he's turned his back on all the smoke screen illusion and delusions. Now, usually these cups have a lot of like junk in them, mishmash of riches, snakes, all kinds of crap in there. But what he's saying is that, well, if I keep my eyes closed to it, that it doesn't exist. So this could be about some of the really kind of weird things that happened when he was mayor of Braddock, and I was as guilty as everybody else, like not looking at them. So of course you're going to see the rainbow. So this is really reflecting on us, but really in an interesting way. Okay, so now we have, what are all these birds? I wonder what's all these birds. We have the aftermath of the King of Swords, and I think that bird has been just kind of like a distraction because he's focusing on the bird and not the sort of communicating. It's just like we were not, we failed to communicate in the primary. And it's this article that was written said it's like all of these signs were there, and he didn't actually come out and say this, but really what the implication was, like all that crazy shit he did in Braddock, running after that black guy with the gun and all this kind of weird stuff. We were kind of like looking at this sweet little birdie and not picking up the sort of truth. At least the queen is pondering it. But okay, so I'm going to go to what's going to happen with us in the future as far as he is concerned in relation, like what's going to be coming, because things are coming to a head. He's almost if it weren't I'm going to say if it weren't for the new pope, and I'm going to let the dust settle for a little bit. I was tempted to scrap this and do a read, but I thought I'm going to let the dust settle a little bit and do a reading on him soon. But if it weren't for the new pope, I think he would have been probably one of the main stories today. So, okay, so in the future, we've got the magician. It's like, come on. It's in our nature that we have all of these resources. We have, going for the higher good, the sword of the being able to think, raising the money, going for the higher purpose. All of these things, we just have to remember to use them. It's kind of like we might have let the sword of rational thought slip off the table, and now the cup might have toppled over, and we might have just gone with the emotions, but or we ignored our gut feeling, saying, oh, that thing in Braddock is really, or whatever or maybe found out more that he did in Harrisburg. But it's saying the lesson to be learned is we've got all of these resources and faculties. We've just got to use them better. That's all there is to it. We've got to use them better. That's our lesson. So leading up to this, we have the emperor. Okay, so this is the emperor before he takes his throne. He's getting ready to sit down in the throne. What does he got? I was thinking, does he have a wrench in his hand? What is that he's got in his hand there? Okay, that looks like some religious thing. He's got a goat. This is wacky. Looks like he's got a goat or something like that over his shoulders. It's kind of like, this is what this, and the face, he looked kind of whacked out. What this is saying is that we had obvious things to know. Like, you look at this one, he's not quite right. He just isn't quite right, or he isn't quite ready. He doesn't look as though he's ready. I don't know what that animal on top. It's just like, okay. It goes to, there were things that we overlooked that we saw beforehand that we could have used this to say, this guy isn't right. He might, what this is telling me is that this just isn't going back to, recently. This is like, of course we couldn't vote for, only a few people could vote for him, a mayor of Braddock, but hey, those of us in Pennsylvania, we could have voted for the other guy for lieutenant governor. That's what this is going back to. This is the big lesson learned. This is stuff we should have picked up a long time ago. So then we have the aftermath. The afterthought is okay. I was going to see how this differs from the regular one. Okay, this guy is really kind of crying over the spilt milk here. This is really, I think a lot of us are beating ourselves up over this. What this is saying is, well, we're really focusing way too. Okay, so we learned our lesson. It's time we really need to move on for this, but to really take the lesson seriously and just to move on, because this guy's a lot more depressed than he is in the regular card. So, which is very similar, but he's just really angsting over this. So, I think the lesson to be learned is that there were signs to be seen. We have elections coming up. It's an off year election, but we have a primary for the mayor. And I think people really need to take a look at both. Now, I know who I'm picking, and I've spoken about it on Facebook, and about 20 million people don't know who these guys are, so I'm not going to go into that. But I'm taking a really good, like, who's supporting him? See who's supporting the candidates. Is there MAGA money involved, even though it's a Democratic primary? It's like, take a look at these candidates. So this is the big lesson to be learned, and to say, okay, it's kind of a humbling thing too, because what it's saying is that we're human, and whatever frailties that the MAGA people have, we have them too, because instead of going for the apprentice, we went for the hoodie and the tats. I mean, come on, let's get honest with it. A lot of it was image, and then we made up this fairy tale around it, like he's really great at and he has done some good things, but there were too many things that we ignored. The difference is, as I said before, is that we have learned, and everybody and their mother has come on Facebook saying, I truly regret that primary vote for the Senate back in 22. That's the difference. We've got these triple Trumpers who are never going to budge, and believe me, of course, he's a lot worse. But I think that what we can get out of this reading is that I think that a lot of people have had a lot of courage to say, "Whoa, I really screwed up on that one," and admit that we can fall in the same trap as the MAGAs, but we're not going to be triple, the triple Trumpers. It's like they never learn. We're learning, so let's not be too hard on ourselves. And I will say, in the final thing I want to say is that mental illness and strokes are very serious things, and I wish nothing but the best for him in that regard. But someone like that is not. They cannot be serving in an important any kind of, every position in government is important. But this is too much. This is too much, and he needs to leave and take care of himself, and maybe, hopefully, come back sometime again. But this has been a very good lesson, that this is something that just didn't happen when he entered the Senate. This stuff's been going on for years, but we refused to see it. But now that we did, we just move on. So I will conclude by saying I do wish him the best, but I think some of my other colleagues on this platform will agree when I say that I got the same feeling about him that I did about Trump. In one way or another, he's not going to last the full term. I don't think he's going to last the full term, just like I don't feel Trump is going to, but I will be very interested in seeing what some of my other colleagues say, because I think they will agree with me. So at any rate, that's all I got for now. So take care, everybody. Bye.